Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the weekly MMA Cycles market update. Today is October 29th, 2025. I'm Gianni DePocio, your host, and it's a Fed day. The Federal Reserve is set to lower interest rates by 0.25% today. And the timing of this cut is certainly auspicious from a geocosmic standpoint because we have a grand trine in effect right now between Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, all in water signs. So it would make sense that they're adding a bunch of liquidity in the form of water from an elemental standpoint into the market. And you just take a look here at the Dow Jones at new all-time highs today. Continues climbing here. We had a nice cyclical reset a couple weeks back in alignment with our model's expectations. We continue to see the NASDAQ and the tech sector doing well. We also are in the middle of earnings season right now, and a lot of names such as Tesla were able to make it through earnings without any major debacles. But today you have earnings in Meta, Microsoft, and Google. You had Apple recently hit a new all-time high as well. Nvidia is breaking out to new all-time highs too, which is bullish price action. I know that Vipka has been covering these moves in great detail in the monthly tech report. So definitely check that out if you are able to. So I like what I'm seeing in stocks. Next week we do have a pretty notable shift in the geocosmic climate because we have an opposition between Mars and Uranus coming on Tuesday. You also have both Mars and Venus ingressing into the following signs. Mars will ingress into Sagittarius on November 4th, the same day as that opposition to Uranus, and then on the 6th, Venus will retrograde into the sign of Scorpio. You actually start the week with the square between Venus and Jupiter on Sunday, but then on the 7th, you're going to have Uranus changing directions and going retrograde, or excuse me, actually going ingressing, retrograding back into the sign of Taurus. So what's interesting from that standpoint is, that is pretty tense. Uranus involved, Mars involved. That can spark some, hostility, if you will. And so we have this government shutdown going on right now here in the United States. We'll see maybe if we get a breakthrough on that front. You also have Venus square Pluto the same day as Uranus retrograding back into the sign of Taurus. So, maybe some forced compromises around that time, something to keep an eye on. We also have President Trump set to meet with Xi Jinping tomorrow and hopefully finalize a trade deal with China. You take a look at bond markets. We are hanging out near the highs of the recent move. A little bit of sell side action today in bonds, and we may even drift lower into some of those Venus signatures next week because Pluto is going to be highlighted again. You take a look at gold and silver. We've seen that correction unfold as expected. Ray sent out a special gold update yesterday that can be purchased at MMAcycles.com. Select subscribers already received that report, but it is fresh. It is still very pertinent to this current setup in this market environment. So you want to check that out to see what comes next for both gold and silver. Silver up nicely more today. We'll see what the Fed has to do on precious metals. But, one of the things I'm looking at here is perhaps another round of weakness in the dollar. The euro hanging out near the highs of the day here versus the dollar. And the dollar actually holding up well against the Japanese yen. We could have a return to Abenomics, which was a monetary policy that defined the 2010s for the Japanese economy. So something to keep an eye on. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a situation where the dollar were strong against the yen, but weak against the euro. It is something to continue monitoring closely here going forward. You take a look at crude oil. Crude oil, a little bit of a bounce, but we did sell off after a lower high last week. We do have that square between Venus and Jupiter coming into the picture over the weekend. So if we're rallying into that time band, perhaps we see another reversal back lower. I know Puyan has been updating members of the monthly Addendum Plus, the monthly Cycles Plus report, which was just issued recently as well. So that too can be found at MMAcycles.com. Last and certainly not least, is take a look at cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin and Ethereum are selling off right now near the lows of the day, but we know that this can flip on a dime, especially during Fed day. So, again, Venus is still in the sign of Libra. This tends to be a bit more pertinent for Ethereum versus Bitcoin, and it is noteworthy how Ethereum is holding up more than Bitcoin right now. And we look for 20% or greater moves in Ethereum when Venus is in the sign of Libra. And I also have my sights here on Solana, which is actually showing some nice strength here today, up on the day. So we'll be keeping an eye on these cryptocurrencies. We do have some exciting announcements on this front coming for you in the coming weeks and months. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But that's all I have for today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. We have frequent video updates on markets, weekly forecasts, and interviews of other notable financial astrologers. So MMTA is still ongoing, by the way. It's going exceptionally well. Ray and Vibka teaching the next generation of financial astrologers how to time markets with geocosmic tools and more. So you can still find out more about the program. Send us an email at customerservice@mmacycles.com. But that's all for now, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you same time, same place next week. Take care now.